Welcome to the Nerdlore podcast, where we talk stories, theories, and lore. I'm one of your three hosts, Shiny Shoes.
And I'm TheRealSkandle.
And I am Crashstarling.
Tonight, we're going to get real weird with it.
Oh, yeah.
So tonight, we're going to go into Conspiracy Theories Part 2. And I'm going to lead you off with a conspiracy theory that I have learned about recently called the Hollow Earth Theory. Basically, this theory, as far back as we can trace it, is there's a bunch of religions that used to believe that Earth, there's stuff going on inside. So we have the outer shell where we live, and then you go down deeper and deeper and deeper, and every time you go down, there is a new civilization that lives there. Religions have pictures of this drawn over all caves and pyramids and stuff like that. So, really, when you start looking into it, it started being discussed by Edmund Halley. You may or may not know of him. He has a comet that comes by every once in a while, Halley's Comet. So he was a big believer. Yeah. He was a big believer in this theory. So he thought that the poles, they were thinned. So the poles had a thinning thing, and there was a hole in each one. And you could access these inner earths by going through the poles to multiple different areas. Now, everybody has a different look at it and what it looks like. But most of the current people that still believe this to the day believe that there is only one culture that lives inside the earth, and they use those two poles for exit and escape. But there are some religions that believe that there are multiple different layers once you get down there. So you'd go in and let's say you'd meet one civilization, then you go to the North Pole there, you go deeper, another civilization. The recent claims for this, in 1917, there was a guy named Admiral Richard Byrd. And he was charted with basically charting Antarctica. They're like, hey, go down there, see what's going on, and come back. So he brought a bunch of people with him down there. He's like, hey, we're going to go check this out. This is going to be awesome. Well, some of his stuff started coming back, and he was saying that he was flying over lush green areas. Yeah, at the South Pole, which, if you don't know about the South Pole, it's really cold. Like, they have video of the expedition crew that they sent down there, and literally, you could just see how cold it was. They didn't buy anything to keep their food preserved or anything like that. They would legit just make these ice bunkers and put their food in it. Because it was like negative 60 something all the time. But they eventually brought him back. At that point, he started to talk about all kinds of fun stuff going on down there. He said that this was going to be a global issue, that we need to start shoring up our armies because of the people he met while he was on there were very hostile. They did not like that he had found their entrance, basically. Before any of this talk, he was known as a very, well-documented, scholared individual. It's so much so that he gave this speech on live television because he's like, hey, I have something to say that the American public needs to hear. He gave it at a university and basically told them, we've got to get our armies ready because we're going to have to fight the Middle Earth people. Yeah, and everybody's just like, what is this dude talking about? Some of the older theories say that that's where the dinosaurs are. So they didn't die by meteors. What happened is all the dinosaurs traveled to the poles and then went inside the Earth.
But why?
Also, how did they get there?
A boat, I don't know.
A big boat, but there was only two of each of each dinosaur.
Yeah, we brought them
because there's going to be a big flood.
Yeah. So after looking into all this, and it's really funny when you look at the guy and the stuff that he wrote and just kind of videos and stuff of the guy talking, you can see as he's talking about this isn't like just the ravings of a lunatic. This guy believes someone inside that Earth is going to fight them. He talked about an incredibly advanced civilization that's there.
Yeah, but to be fair, most lunatics truly believe what they're talking about.
There's a fine line between genius and insanity.
Yeah, and this guy, man, he is all about it. He basically talked about immediately a war with a potential enemy. He even used the word, he said, "This is a crisis we must be prepared for," which was awesome.
But we don't know when?
Just whenever, I guess, they're tired of living in the inside. So there's some really cool things that I really got deep on this when I was researching it. So in order to figure out what this was called, this is its own field of study called paranormal geology. And paranormal geology is like Atlantis, Croatoa, anything that just civilizations that disappeared, or land masses like the Bermuda Triangle. That's all part of paranormal geology.
That would actually be a really cool subject to learn. Like, if you had to do geology, like, I'm sorry, cool. If you like rocks, that's awesome. But like, at least you'd have a significant reason.
Yeah, dude. I watched a 2-hour video on paranormal geology just because I was like, this is really entertaining. And this guy goes over so many different things and so many different theories. And this dude just sitting up on stage is like, let me tell you what they believe next. And he was talking about like so he talked about one hollow theory that the Earth is actually full of tunnels, and you could use the tunnels to get to places incredibly quickly.
Like ants?
Yeah. It's hard, like almost like teleportation style, like really fast travel.
That's not teleporting.
I don't know.
Running through a tunnel.
Like really fast water currents. I don't know, but you basically talked about that. That was a cool one. But one thing he did say about the Middle Earth theory, so how wide do you think the Earth is? If you had to give it a guess, how many miles?
At least 3 feet.
All right, 3 feet. It's at least 3 feet. That's fair. If you had to guess.
2,500 miles.
That's not far off. So just about 4,000 miles around.
Okay.
How far do you think we have gone into the Earth? What is the deepest we've gone into the Earth?
It's not that far.
Maybe
it's like 17 miles.
Yeah, maybe like 25.
7.61 miles. The Kola super deep borehole in Russia is the deepest we've gone into the Earth.
7 miles?
Yeah. So that's what they're saying is, how do we know what's in here when the deepest we've gone into the Earth is 7.61 miles?
Now, why is it only 7? Is it because
you hit what they say is you basically hit rock, like bedrock, and their assumption is it's bedrock until you get to a molten core.
But they don't know for sure.
We don't know for sure. Maybe there is a civilization on there. But
can we just throw out a thing here? Now hiring stunt devil who wants to get into a caterpillar boring machine and just bore and straight down until
like it's going through like
until you fall into some lava.
6 miles of bedrock is like a crazy thought. But they talked about it, and we know more about planets in our solar system. We know more about the surface on Mars than we know about the bottom of the ocean even.
Yeah, dude, the ocean's creepy, man.
Yeah, it's super scary.
Like the things that you get into when you get like deeper into the ocean, like
how do you even live down there? So the last real time that this was brought into light, there was a guy in Florida named Cyrus Ted.
He's got two first names.
Yeah, he started a kind of, I'm not gonna say it's a cult, but he changed his name to Korshensky, and his followers were called Korshianists.
What a name!
They believed in this Hollow Earth theory, and they were gonna prove it. So they made a machine called the Rectilineator.
I have a new name for my junk now. Thank you.
Rectilineator. the rectilineator, and the
That's
rect-
going on.
Doofenshmirtz invention.
That's
So-
going on. That's going on Tinder.
Yeah. So the rectilineator, the way this thing works is it's basically a pipe. Yeah, it is. And what they would do is they said to prove that the Earth isn't perfectly round and all this other stuff and that there's stuff going on inside, they were going to keep extending this pipe, and because of the Earth not having that spherical shape, the pipe is eventually going to come off the ground. They didn't have a very large section of pipe to use, so they would just be like,
They weren't working with a lot of pipe with that
did
anal
not
thing.
have-
Huh?
The rectilineator did not have a lot of pipe to go with. But basically they keep going and going and going and going, and they didn't prove anything. I don't know what happened to the cult. I'm sure they're probably still around hanging out, but we don't know what's in the middle of the Earth, and there's so little known about Antarctica, it's hard to say, hey, maybe this guy did see a hole up there, but what do we know? That's kind of up on you guys. If you want to get more into this, there's a really interesting book written about the journey of Richard Byrd. It's called The Stowaway. And basically, when he was going to Antarctica, he put out this post basically in the newspaper. It says, hey, I need people to travel with me down there. Who would like to go? So he took a bunch of rich people, people that could afford it. Well, there was a kid that kept sneaking onto his ship. And eventually, the kid snuck on like 3 or 4 times, and he was like, you know what? I like you. You're coming with us. So there was a whole book written on that subject. The book doesn't go too much into the Hollow Earth theory, but it does talk about this Richard Byrd, and the book paints him as a very sane individual. Have to see, I guess. That's been Hollow Earth. Skandle, what do you got for us?
Hold on. Can we,
Hold on. Oh,
before we start, you guys remember that episode of Teen Titans where they were in the, icy tundra, and then they found a cave system where they found a bunch of dinosaurs and a caveman and a girl who could turn herself into crystal?
okay.
So, someone plagiarized Teen Titans, and I feel like they should really collect some of that,
Obviously, it was
that
Teen
money.
Titans
Yeah.
that was
Because
plagiarized
you said
there.
1917, right?
Yeah, that's
They
Teen
said?
Titans came out in the early 1800s, if I remember
Right.
the timeline.
The early 1800s,
Yeah.
eh?
Yeah,
1837 to be exact.
yeah.
Of course.
All right. Okay. So I have a treat for you guys tonight.
Okay.
So this is one big conspiracy theory that has 4 or 5 inside conspiracy theories that make it one big conspiracy theory. Okay. Now, when I start this, you guys are going to be like, what the hell's going on with the Denver International Airport? Right. But I'm about to tell you. Okay. First and foremost, do you guys remember the last podcast we did that was on conspiracy theories? And what did Crashstarling talk
Crashstarling doesn't even remember.
about?
Was it Illuminati? Did he
No,
go
it
or
was the
Freemasons?
No, it was the Freemasons.
Freemasons,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I get
Okay,
the two.
so-
I get the two confused all the time.
That's because
So
they're
the-
apparently the same thing.
The first thing we're going to talk about is the Freemasons, right? So inside this Denver International Airport, which I'll probably just call it the airport because you guys know what I'm talking about now. There is a time capsule that was created in 1994 when the airport was opened, and it's not supposed to be open for 100 years. Okay. So, but on top of that time capsule is a capstone, and it has etched in the stone under where it says the people of Colorado in 2094 are the square and compass symbols of the Freemasons. So, and as well as that, they have 2 Grand Masters, as well as a group known as the New World Airport Commission. So, why this is interesting is there's no such thing as the New World Airport Commission. There never was. What it's supposed to say is the new, World Airport Commission. So technically, it was supposed to be that this commission was created. It was the World Airport Commission. But the fact that it says New World, because that's always been something with the Freemasons, the Illuminati, is that we have a new world order where we're all under one currency, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the fact that this says New World Airport Commission indicates that it's either like a premonition that once we all become the new world, that this is part of the airport commission that's a part of this new world order. Okay. So what they blow it off and say that yes, the two pieces were made by the Masons, but it's common for the Freemasons to be a part of large facility openings like airports. Let's see here. There's also a Braille tablet that rises up on the stone, and there are theories that if you touch it just right, and I know some of us struggle with being able to touch it just right, but if you can just touch it just right, it becomes a keypad that a lot of conspiracy theorists believe gives you communication with aliens, or it releases a toxic gas. Okay, so we're going to revisit why that's important. Okay, if you look at a newspaper article from the back of whenever this airport was being created, this guy named Wellington Webb, he was mayor of Colorado at that time. He's served in the Colorado House of Representatives and was the first African-American mayor of Denver, Colorado, and he served from 1991 through 2003. So he was there in 94 when the airport opened. What's really funny is that he's also known as Brother Webb, as one of the main members of the Freemasons. So, a little crazy there, right? Okay. That's pretty much it for the notes that we have on the Freemasons, right? But just the fact that they are part of this should indicate there's a lot of conspiracy theories tied, right? So the next part we're going to talk about are the gargoyles. Now, I don't know if you guys know this or not, gargoyles were created. They were put on churches and big buildings, not to scare or bring fear, but to protect those buildings. That's what they were for. They were created as protectors of these churches and things like that. So there was this artist who, when he went to this committee to find out if he could do it, there was also this nun that was there. So he felt like he needed to do something just with whatever inside the Denver International Airport. So he chose to do gargoyles. Now, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but when Denver International Airport first started, they kept having trouble with luggage. So either the new baggage system would misplace the luggage, or as it went through, it would just shred it completely. Like, I don't know what it would be like to have your luggage shredded, but apparently that was kind of current. Anyway, this artist decided to use gargoyles inside of the art is a gargoyle sitting inside of a suitcase, and it's kind of like a way to protect the suitcases, right? But gargoyles are supposed to be there to protect you. I want you to remember that as we keep going, right? So we have the Freemasons and this button that's going to release toxic gas and these gargoyle protectors. Okay. The next thing, I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Denver International Airport. Have you gone?
The Denver one?
Yeah.
I have not.
So a lot of people have flown through it, but they've never gone there, right? There's a lot of carryovers. I forgot what they're called. Layovers. Yeah. So whenever you're going to another plane, because it's a big airport, right? It's an international airport. So anyway, but at the entrance of the airport, when you're driving to it, there is this gigantic 32-foot horse with red-orange eyes that are it's like this big blue horse that's up on back legs. You know what I'm talking about? Whenever they're
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so there you go. That'll be clipped. I can already. So it looms over the entrance of the airport, right? And some people see this as a premonition of what's to come due to the turbulence created by the Rocky Mountains. So whenever you fly through Denver, there's a lot of turbulence. So they kind of see it as a dark premonition of what it's like to fly the friendly skies of Denver International Airport.
Okay.
What's really crazy about that, though, is that the artist, he had a piece of the sculpture fall. He was creating it. So he was still working on it in June 13th of 2006. So airport opened in 94. So we're talking 12 years later, he was still working on the sculpture. And a piece of it fell and sliced the artery in his leg, and he died before he could actually finish it. So this thing is known as the horse that killed its maker. Okay, so it was revealed in February 2000. So that's pretty much it for this demonic horse. It's almost like a symbol that people use as fear whenever they come into the Denver. That I don't know why you would fly there if that's the thing that you see when you first come in and you're afraid of it.
Spooky.
Yeah.
Like
So, because it's like if you look at the picture, its eyes are pretty freaking creepy, man. So then, as you walk through the Denver International Airport, there are all these different murals, so there's they look like normal murals, right? Like one of the murals is looks like it's just a bunch people from a bunch of different nations, maybe one new world, perhaps, that are all carrying have like their flags, their nation's flags wrapped around. It could be feathers, maybe building pieces. I don't know. It's just got pieces sticking out of uh, these flags. So anyway, so let me see where I'm at here. It could be building parts, like they're going to build this new world or whatever, but it doesn't look like much. But one of the doctors that was interviewed about this uh, claims that the picture is actually a Nazi gas masked alien generating a rainbow electromagnetic field with the swish of his Muslim saber sticking the Christian dove of peace. In the background, you have mostly ethnic faces mourning among bombed buildings. And he wanted everybody to remember that he published this when he was talking about the murals 3 months before 9/11. So he goes on to say that the Nazi alien symbolizes the Nazi fascist links between contemporary population controllers and the military chemical industrialists accountable for Hitler's rise to power. Elite global industrialists, including the Rockefeller family in America and the royal family of England, were primarily responsible for eugenics, the first racial hygiene experiments pioneered in America against black and mentally retarded people.
Oh.
So he keeps going and he says, the elements here reflect the circumstances of current geopolitics. The images here make it pretty clear or pretty certain there is a commercial enterprise that relishes these images. Too many coincidences to not give a reasonably intelligent investigator probable cause to conclude something more than coincidence. The artist is not a suspect, he is a witness. His art is evidence. Who paid for it and what was their motivation for commissioning these precise pattern of images that tell a very clear story is still unknown. So that's what this one doctor who has done all these investigations is, right? So the very last thing, so a lot of these things are kind of kind of iffy as you're talking about this being conspiracy theory, but it's all going to come together, I promise. All right, the last thing we're going to talk about are the secret tunnels that are underneath Denver International Airport.
I told y'all about secret tunnels. I told you they were there, and there's a whole new world under there.
And it could be. We never know, right? So here's the thing. Day 3, the third day after the airport's opening, luggage and everything was messing up like we talked about before. So they were directing passengers through these tunnels that contained some of like the finest gold leaf mosaic artistry some people have ever seen, right? Like it's expensive and it's like incredible according to this person, right? Then he says, once the trams were operational, these passageways were closed. So, and they've never been used again for common knowledge anyway. So why would you spend so much money on gold leaf mosaic artistry to have it sealed off and never looked at again? So
a really gaudy interior decorator.
Yeah, something, right? But why do it to some tunnels that aren't ever going to be used?
Question.
If you have the money, spend it.
I guess. Well, they were $2 billion over budget, so maybe that's why.
Oh,
like after everything was said and done, they spent $2 billion more than they were supposed to.
That's $2 billion.
Yeah. Right. So here's some other crazy things, right? The CEO of Fentress Architects, Curtis Fentress, he did the fabric roof design. Now, if you've ever looked at the Denver International Airport, you'll notice the roof is like these pillars kind of looking things, right? So the reason he made it was he was able to cut 200,000 pounds of steel and 200,000 cubic yards of concrete from the previous design by doing this weird, different design, right? When they asked him if there were secret tunnels, he said this, I swear to God, he quoted, "Well, I really can't speak to it. I'm sworn to secrecy." So either he's got a real sick sense of humor or he was really sworn to secrecy, right? We never know. So is it a bomb shelter down there? I know, right?
Yeah.
Is there a bomb shelter down there? Is it a safe haven for the elites or the, what do you call, the Build-A-Bear group? from last podcast, Shiny. So what people think is when it's time, only the elite are going to be able to get into these tunnels that are underneath the international airport that's like supposed to house them during the apocalypse, right? And then as they're going into the tunnels, so as the elites are running into the tunnels, they're supposed to be able to use that thumb on the braille thing on the capsule that we talked about at the beginning to release a poisonous gas to keep anybody from being able to follow them into their bunker or whatever that's underneath the airport. And that the gargoyles are supposed to protect these elite from whatever's happening in the outside world while they're in these bunkers, and that whenever everything is said and done, they're going to come out and start this new world airport commission or whatever, new world order or whatever it's supposed to be called. So the Denver International Airport, fellas.
Denver. I've always thought something was up with the Denver International Airport, but I never knew what it was. Now I'm happy that my suspicions are confirmed. I've been worried about this for a few years now.
Have you?
So are they thinking like all the suitcases and stuff that went missing, like that went down there to, like, I guess not furnish, but like give them clothes and amenities and stuff like that?
Could be. I mean, that would be
toothpaste,
smart, would it not be?
Shampoo.
And why would you need liquids, right? Like I'm sure they have cases of water down there. They definitely don't liquids that have already been opened in baggage. So plus I don't think liquids keep as long, depending on what liquid's in there.
So what are they thinking? Like 2094?
Nobody really knows, but that would be my guess.
Yeah.
No, really, what I think is it's supposed to happen before 2094, maybe the year of 2094. And as they come up, they're going to open the capsule to have these relics from 100 years ago before the New World Order took over.
I can't wait for the New World Order to fix climate change so we actually make it to 2094.
Yeah.
Jokes on you.
I will say, just to be topical, because of everything that's going on right now, what I wanted to do, and this was before it became this pandemic, was I wanted to do conspiracy theory on how the Chinese government created the coronavirus in order to put a halt to the riots in Hong Kong. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's moved all over the world.
Yeah, now it's here. Oops. Just like Resident Evil.
The Umbrella Corporation?
Yeah.
Isn't there like a company in China that has the Umbrella Corporation insignia? Look that up.
It's a cool insignia, though. So you can't really blame them. Pretty neat.
All right. What do you got for us, Crashstarling?
Well, now that all the theories are out of the way, I'm here to tell you about vaccination and how horribly dangerous it is to your children and why you should definitely never get one. So Big Pharma has been lying to you your whole life. They are injecting you with poison to keep you under their control, under their thumb. But a brave movement of anti-vax people, anti-vaxxers, has risen up to claim your bodies back. You're welcome. I know, we all were. And I know, most likely, like the two of you gentlemen, I have been injured by my vaccines that definitely have not kept me healthy. I have gotten a cold once.
Yeah.
Once, yeah. Uh-huh.
But thank goodness I have not had to deal with autism, because we know that is just earth-shattering. And I would rather let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cases of measles outbreaks since 1973 happened, because measles, they're not that important. That's not that serious. It's like a fever and a rash. It's not that
bad. I'm not a super scientist, but isn't the mortality rate for measles pretty high?
It's not that bad.
Okay.
In the grand scheme of things, it's actually not that big.
Okay, all right.
What about the flu? So you don't do like flu vaccines?
Oh no, of course not. That's how they update the vaccines already in your body.
But the flu kills more. You can't even keep a straight face like. The flu kills more people every year than any other pandemic or anything.
Yeah, except for obesity, probably.
That's true.
That'll
That's
get
true.
you heart disease. It is no joke. It'll
But
get
of
you.
course, I just wanted to give a shout out to the brave scientist whose name I didn't bother to look up because it's not important, who linked autism to vaccines. Thank you very much.
Is that the conspiracy theory? Autism related to vaccines?
No, that's not a conspiracy theory.
That's a fact.
Of course it's a fact. It doesn't matter how many peer-reviewed articles have come out against him. We believe in his research.
Didn't they specifically disprove him and then bar him from practicing medicine anymore?
That's fake news, and I
Oh,
will not
okay.
appreciate you personally attacking me like that again.
That one's
If
on
you
me.
could just,
My bad.
of course.
Can I just say that whenever one of the main things I look for in a woman is whether she's an anti-vaxxer or not, because I'd rather pay 8 years of child support and not 18.
How dare you?
8,
Our
wow.
children live to be.
Those are living old.
Look, our children are raised to live a decent life expectancy.
Hmm.
So when they have their midlife crisis at 5, we are prepared to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, so real quick question, honestly, I'll bullshit aside. Do you all pay homage to the great goddess Jennifer McCarthy?
Of course.
Amen.
She's so brave. So
She's
brave.
so
She's risked
brave.
her entire career to support the cause. It's not even a cause, to support honesty,
movement.
reality. I mean, she was so prevalent and so relevant in Hollywood.
That's why I definitely know who she is.
Um,
I know who she is.
Um,
I know.
What
do
a
have-
conspiracy theory. I'm
I
sorry,
do
what
have
a
one more-
fact.
yeah.
It's a theory that they don't, but I have spent several hours on the toilet looking through Google,
Yeah.
and I had to research and Google, vaccine, anti-vaccine, peer-reviewed articles, and I found 3. The first one I found is on Vaccines Are Real. That's vaccines, the letter R, real,
Uh-huh.
.edu, because it's educational.
Yeah. Well, if it's
That was the
EDU,
most-
it's got to be true. I know that. I know that. That's got to be a fact. There are also, if you look, there are plenty of Facebook anti-vax mom groups you can join.
Oh my gosh, I moderate 3 of them.
Get out.
It's just me. It's me, Karen W,
Mackenzie,
Mackenzie.
Shakayla.
Tiffany, and all the Ennies.
Yeah. And
Bethany,
there's-
Tiffany.
Now
Yeah.
that I have everyone's attention, I just wanted to ask you all to please check out my essential oil shop. You can check that out. Don't laugh. This is serious. I have a lavender oil that's very good to boost your bravery levels and your body.
Yeah,
Another
you're gonna
one
need
that's
that.
really if you can take the little droppers out and put them in your ears so you don't have to hear any of the vaccine BS they serve you on the media.
Do you have any crystals that protect me from beans?
Oh my gosh, do you need some?
Yes.
I have a moon crystal that would be perfect for you.
Okay, good.
It's not from the moon, but it is powered by moon energy.
Obviously. What else would
Of course.
power it? The sun? I don't know.
What you do is you hold it to the left temple and you roll it across your forehead.
Almost like the child thermometer things. Is it the front of the forehead or like the top?
They make thermometers for children.
Well, not for
Yeah, but you
anti-vax kids. Those are
No,
built
well,
already.
well, they have mercury in them, so
Of course, which
you
is
know,
a chemical in the vaccines. You are injecting mercury into your body.
Heard that also. What if, so let's say we didn't vaccine. Let's say we didn't vaccinate.
The correct choice.
Yeah, what if we found a way to boost someone's immunity to a disease by, like, slightly introducing them to it?
See, we have something for that. We have a solution.
like in a drink.
No. What
Maybe.
you do is you find a child possibly with small or not chicken pox.
Smallpox?
It's one of the
God.
pox. I just have to pick one, and I chose wrong. It's like when you have a child with chicken pox and you bring them around children who haven't had it yet. So that way their immune system can build up a natural immunity
That'll
to the
teach them,
disease.
little jerks.
My favorite thing is that you can't even keep a straight.
I can't. It's
So silly.
oh my
man.
god. Vaccinate your crotch goblins, please.
100%.
I do appreciate
100%.
Yes, I appreciate both you boys helping me out to prove my point of
No problem.
vaccines definitely cause autism. They are filled with horrible chemicals you should never inject to your body, even though
Right.
you probably
Like the
grew up
disease.
under- Yes, of course.
100%. I get it.
I can't go on.
My favorite series of shots that I got to whenever I go on deployment was anthrax.
Ooh.
You had to get anthrax shots, like, and they would inject you with anthrax, but like
Yeah.
a minor amount, and then more, and then more, and more. It was like a 12 or 6 shot series. I can't
Yeehaw.
remember, but yeah, it was a lot of.
That's not.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's my whole thing.
this has been episode 2 of Conspiracy Theories. I'm Shiny Shoes.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah.
It is.
And I'm Skandle.
And I'm Crashstarling.
I thought you were gonna be Karen. I didn't.
And I'm Karen.
Okay. So,
Hey, before we go, can I just say that the support we've received lately has been great. The amount of views and people interested in what we have to talk about is awesome. If you guys could please let us know if there's like a subject or conspiracy theory or whatever that you would like us to do some research on and talk about. Please let us know. Hit us up anywhere. I mean, we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Podbean. Hit us up anywhere. Just let us know so we can make sure that we keep giving you this amazing, great quality, highest S tier podcast. I don't know what word I'm looking for that you could ever
Content.
listen to.
rectilineator, is that a word you're looking
Yeah,
for?
that's the word.
Just make
Rectilineator.
sure you have enough pipe to fulfill the work of the anal alienator.
Rectilineator.
Yeah, that thing.
Measures distance. So, thank you guys. We will be back next week.